Right.
Dogs are going to be dogs no matter what. It's the people that just keep refusing to understand what a dog is. And that's why the dogs, it's a shitty time to be a dog. In the history of the world, it is the shittiest time to be a dog.
Yeah, well, so I know I'd say this message, but like I got so frustrated this week because I was talking to some guide dog handlers, and I just need to stop. I just need to stop. So yeah, there was this girl, and she's like, so I don't know what to do because I'm taking my dog on sniffy walks, and the dog doesn't behave like you wouldn't even know that it was a service dog when I do this because it lunges at things, it gets under people's feet, it trips us. It tried to get into the street and almost got hit by a car following a smell. It's just going crazy. And so I responded. I could even send you screenshots if you want, but essentially I said, like, hey, just think of it this way. I know. Think of it this way. Don't try
to help.
I know. That's the problem. Like, and I just tried, some of the stuff you've taught me because I used to be, I mean, not that bad, but I used to think that my dog needed these things. Hey, I wasn't that bad. And so
no, I was talking to somebody else. Go ahead.
Okay. And so I said, look, like your dog's always learning. And if you allow this and then you correct the dog for the same behaviors in harness, you're being extremely unfair to your dog. So first think about that. And then think about like, why are you doing this in the first place? Your dog doesn't need to go on sniffy walks. And all you're doing is teaching it bad behaviors that could get you and the dog hurt.
Yep.
And this person and the whole guide dog community went off, man. It was nuts. And the first thing they said is like, how dare you say we can't bring our dogs on sniffy walks when that's mental, they're mental, what did they say? Mental well-being walks. They're mental health walks. That's what it was. They said guide dogs and service dogs need mental health walks to be able to do their job effectively. And I just...
Well, wait a minute. This is my problem. They're complaining because the dogs are taking them into traffic, getting underneath them, and looking for things on the ground.
When on leash, not on harness, but yes. Yeah.
Right. But that's for their mental well-being, right? They're doing that. And then when the dog goes into guide work, the dog's like, well, fuck guide work. I'd much rather sniff for shit.
Yeah.
Plus, you're being an idiot in the way you correct me and the way you handle me. So that's going to drive me away from understanding what you want. And when a dog has a choice and the other choice is chaos, they're going to take the choice that benefits them. So the way they're working with the dog is actually pushing the dog away from them towards all this bad behavior just because they're confusing in what they're doing. But this is the second time I've heard that this week, emotional well-being, or what is the dog's emotional state? Now, this is all that pseudoscience. This is all that pseudoscience. If you understand that guide work is so much more mentally complex than just letting the dog sniff around, right? The guide work's not a natural behavior. The sniffing around is a very natural behavior.
Yeah.
You're taking the natural behavior and you're just turbocharging it, supercharging it, nitrous oxide, super methane. Fucking dogs love this. Yes, what's allowed will continue, so I'm going to do it. And then you have reinforced it so much. Now you want to go heel. And the dog's like, what, are you kidding me? No, there's no way, dude. This gets me so much. The sniffaries and the enrichment and the emotional well-being exercises get me so much more than working for you. So that is where it was right. I got to say 10, 15 years ago, people started talking about dogs with human connection to their emotional well-being, the dog's emotional well-being. And that made people think that dogs think the exact same way as humans. Like, you have a stressful job and you need to go play pickleball, or you need to go do this to blow off that steam. That's a human. The
Right.
world we live in would make us go insane if we had to stay in it all the time. You don't
Yeah.
teach the dog to do the things you don't want it to do that are A, gonna get you killed, pull you into traffic, go after other dogs. You're teaching the dog to want. So, okay, you are enhancing the dog's emotional well-being. And no one said you can't do it. I believe you said I wouldn't do it. And here's why. So you're making a
That's
good argument, but they don't want to
that's
hear it.
what I said. Yeah.
This is where the emotional people want to connect with that. They feel like they're doing good for their dog.
They do.
Well, it is good for the dog. It's just really bad for them. So it's imagine I say, my kids come home from school and they had a hard day, and I say, here's some Red Bull, some kazoos, and some drum kits. I'm gonna just let you guys decompress. They're not gonna want to go back to school the next morning. They're not
Right.
gonna want to go. They're gonna be like, no, blah, 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 wah, wah, wah. They're just going crazy. Well, the behaviors that you allow are training. The enrichment that you do is training to the dog. It's all life, right?
Hmm.
So now you've got this dog that no dog trainer on the planet would recommend that you do. I don't know. That's a lie. That's not true anymore. I don't know. Any person who understands dogs, and see, this is me being very politically correct as much as I can without really pissing people off. But when someone's being a moron, when someone's being an idiot, and the answer's right in front of them, street pizza. That's the only answer. The problem is the dog goes with them.
Yeah. Yeah. They're essentially dragging the dog into it. And to be fair, in their post, at the end of their post, they said, I don't want people to tell me to not do this because I'm not stopping doing the
Right.
sniffy
Nope.
walks.
Then it's over. Then it's over. That's like saying, look, I'm a real, so who, like Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. was doing drugs. He was an alcoholic. Couldn't get his shit together. If he said, that's what was keeping him out of the movies, one of our most brilliant actors, nobody would bank him. Nobody
Right.
would cover him because he was out of control.
Right.
And he says, I'm not stopping all the bad stuff and embracing new habits. We don't have Robert Downey Jr. anymore.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing what is reinforcing the behavior you don't want and then make a statement that says, I'm not stopping this, so don't tell me. That person, you have to walk away from them. And that is one of those things you're running into. You cannot help people that don't come to you for the help.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. And it's just so frustrating because
Keep trying. Keep trying.
I know it's futile, and every single time I do this, I get a lot of lashback, and the only reason I'm doing it is because this isn't just a pet. Like this could literally kill this handler and this team. It could
Yeah,
kill them. And yet
but
they won't listen. They won't
but
even consider it.
but that's the problem with the industry. Is the industry brainwashes people into thinking that the emotional stuff that's enrichment or emotional well-being is as important to a dog as it is to us. This is where the enrichment stuff came from animals at really shitty zoos. That's when you got some really cool zookeepers who were like, look, this is a really like gray bar steel cage zoo, and these animals are like fucking pacing. They came
Mhm.
up with the brilliant idea for the predators to put meat and stuff in a like lab rats that are dead and meat stuff in a big 5-gallon block of ice, and now they had something to do all day.
Right.
That's brilliant. That's awesome. Your dog's got shit to do all day. Doesn't need that shit.
Right. It
He's got
doesn't.
your dog should think what your dog needs for mental enrichment is don't pull me into the fucking street.
Exactly. Well,
Don't
and
don't don't sniff on the fucking ground. These are the rules of guide work. You cannot pull me into the street. You cannot sniff on the ground. I'll tell you something with Atlas. Atlas is, it's so funny. He's evolving so fast. He's growing, right?
yeah.
So we're out yesterday. I'm trying to edit a video while I'm talking to you too because I want you to see this. Um, I'm multitasking. So
Nice.
we're out there. This fucking dog is now like, wait a minute. There's shit on the ground. Like there's these. You'll see them when you get down here next week.
Yeah, I
That
know.
there's these massive pine cones, massive.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the giant ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "What are these?" And I'm like, "Those are nothing to be fucked with, my friend."
Great.
And people go like, "You gotta let him play with podcasts." No, because it will get Sky and Atlas dead. Well, what do you mean? How can it be? Because you can't connect the dots. Because as a human, your emotional well-being is killing you because you're not well emotionally. You're becoming so super emotional about something that's so commonsensical. And you can get someone online to validate that. When working dog handlers, service dog handlers start adopting the pet emotional mental well-being bullshit. Now, people would say, you don't want the dogs to have emotional well-being. Look, man, it's a different kind of thing. It's a different, the human brain, a dog doesn't have a prefrontal cortex, or if they do, it's really small, but it's not, they do not see life the same way we do. So if you allow it, and the dog likes it, and then you will not correct the dog or stop those things, that's, what are you doing? Go to Robert Downey Jr. Say, you got to stop heroin, drugs, everything. And he's like, no, but I want everything I'm going to get if I do smarten up. No,
Right.
you're not. You're going to be a dead junkie. So that's the hardest part. And Sky, I will tell you, it's a very hard time to be a dog because what people have done is market dogs as little humans. And it's just not true. And the emotional retardation in human beings is fueled by the anthropomorphic retardation of modern dog training and behavior. It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's what makes you nuts, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think what frustrated me the most is I tried to have like an intellectual conversation.
Yeah, the girl.
Give decent points, like make them think. Just think for themselves.
Uh-huh.
And
How's
someone
that working
replied.
out for you?
Yeah, no, well. And someone replied, and you're talking about the industry, and they said, well, there's been studies done that
Oh!
shows that sniffing walks help the mental well-being of service dogs. And how am I supposed to argue with that? Like when I know that
How you argue with it is to take it and say, you're absolutely right. But it does absolutely everything to undermine the performance of service dogs. So yes, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about the emotional well-being. You know what? Atlas's emotional well-being was. This dog was softer than veal. He was
right.
softer than veal. And I just said, this is what you can't do, buddy. That's my video I want to show you with me using food at the park.
Yeah.
But I just started that because I've been terrified to create a dog for you that's going to be what they have. Like I'm so aware of what I want from this dog, and you are too. And you're this is going to suck, but you're literally going to be blind with how to handle this dog. And when
Yeah.
you get here, one of the things that's here is that if I could have, and I'll get it, have the time with you to work with Atlas. There's so much we're going to talk about right now. You could never understand it until you feel it.
Right.
And when I tell you that your world is about to open up, when you come down here, it's not going to be like instructions. It's not going to be like do this, do that. I'm literally going to go, look, I want you to feel this, and the dog's going to resist you, and then I'm going to tell you to put a little more pressure. I'm going to tell you, you don't have to see shit. You're going to see the dog go, oh, or you're going to feel it. The dog will go, oh, I get it. That's
Right.
the communication. That's enrichment. The teacher student is what is emotionally, when you have a good teacher that puts boundaries on you, that is the most enriching, mentally well, clarity, trust, and respect thing you can do for a dog. So these numpties have this problem. They go online and say, I have this problem. You say, listen, I'm working with this guy and it's really kind of opened up what I'm doing. Let me give you a little advice. And they say, sure, what's your advice? You say, well, here. And they go, fuck you. Walk away.
Yeah. 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 I know it's the only thing you can do.
The thing about minds is they're like parachutes. They have to be open to work. And when you this is the thing, we've saturated the market with people who give popular ideas and bad advice and hype people up on it instead of saying, what are you doing? Stop. Like I had an instance where this lady came in, and I tell the story a lot about, she came in with the two hairless rat terriers in a
in the
and I walked in and I go, nope.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I need a behaviorist. I said, you need a Xanax salt lick. You're out of your mind. And she's like, you're being rude to me. You're going to get these dogs killed and they're already biting someone. How could that possibly happen? Why are you here? Well, I'm here because they're biting people when people go to pet them. The answer is that they're not meant to be strapped on their backs, prone, and tied down while people come up to them. That is the seventh circle of hell for them. Just because your illusion wants them to be twin babies, they're not getting the same emotional enrichment or mental well-being that you think they're getting, because you're a human and they're dogs. Yeah. So if I wanted my fish to have emotional well-being and I started throwing just tons of food in there for the fish to sniff around and forage, the fish would be great, but you just polluted its air supply, its water supply, its environment. Well, that's what they're doing. They're polluting their own environment and then getting the dog's the one that's going to pay, because they're not going to stop it, and then they're going to start to bang the dog into what they want.
Yep.
And then when that happens, you're being a dick to your dog, an ignorant, absolutely closed-minded, emotional asshole. That's animal abuse. That's animal abuse. But when you have a study showing you that Snifari increases their emotional well-being, of course it does. Of course it does. If you take a heroin addict and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go over here and we're going to do a little heroin. Oh, their emotional well-being go through the roof. Their actual well-being will crash.
Makes them happy, but for how long?
Right. So remember, we have an entire generation that's been subject to this industry, this bullshit, whatever sells, whatever makes the human happy. And then they want performance that you have to be very careful about how you get it. Look, who are they taking advice from? That's the problem. And now the dog training schools, the dog guide dog schools have gone fucking completely fakak. They're teaching them to do shit. And so the other part of that is, before the internet, if you were blind, you went to school, you did Keeler, there you go.
Yep.
Keeler's not popular. Money's more popular. And so what's happening is these guide dog students are becoming just casualties of marketing and what the industry thinks dog behavior is and human emotion. It's just a mess. Everything we've done, everything I do with anybody I work with, we have to start at the beginning. We have to stop doing the things that are getting us in trouble with performance. If they're unwilling to do that, Sky, you're just gonna bang your head against the wall. If they want help, they should come to you. Right. If they want that advice. But the other thing too, Sky, is that when you start saying this to them, it's going to be very hard for one blind person to show another blind person how you apply this.
Yeah, that's very true. Yes.
Right. Every time I try to talk to people, they're telling me what they don't want. Look, I don't want to correct him, but I want him to stop barking. I don't want him to stop sleeping in the bed, but I want him to let my husband in the bed. I don't want him to do this, but I want that. That's why the world is fucked for dogs. And that, as a person who has high intelligence and wonderful common sense, who's very giving and wants to help the community, I mean, you could just, I mean, you're trying to help. You're standing in traffic going like, I'll help.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
done. They don't want your help. They do not want your help. That's why people have to find me instead of, because if I came to you when you first got Cindy and started saying all the wild bullshit that I say, what would you have said to me?
Honestly, I don't know, because
No, you didn't want to hear it. So if you didn't want it and I come up and I go, look, I learned this lesson. I was in Walmart in Maine. And this guy had this, I think I told you, this guy had a 6 or 7 week old Roddy puppy and he just put it in the carriage. And the dog's like, I mean, he just got it. So he's going to get dog food and stuff. So this puppy is just, it's a female, just standing on the grate of the shopping carriage.
Yeah.
And it's freaking out. And so it pissed. So the guy picks it up by the scruff and starts whacking it on the ass. Not hard, but I go, hey, can I tell you something? I said, listen, that's what he goes, did I ask you for your fucking help?
Wow.
No, he's right. He's 100% right. Because if you did that, Sky, you'll be running around trying to help every person with a dog for the rest of your life. They have to get the gift of desperation, and then maybe they'll listen. But if you're trying to tell people something that they've already made very clear, they're not interested in what you have to say. They're interested in having the problem. That problem gets them attention. That problem gets them to pontificate and say, I will not. And it's faceless, and it's not in person where you can prove anything, where you can say, look, can I just show you something here? Here's your dog. This is what it's doing. What do you need the dog to do? I need the dog to guide me. Okay. So I'm going to show you exactly what the problem is. I'm going to walk you through it, and I'm going to show you how the dog thinks about it. They don't want that. They want what they have. They want to be the expert. They want to be getting attention, negative attention for their emotional problems. And then they're asking for help. Do you think they want help?
I wish they did. I thought,
Do you think they want help?
Not the type of help that I want to give them. I think they want
what they
want. They want what they want, but they want the behavior to stop too. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. I mean,
they don't want what you're selling because it requires their mind to open, their perspective to change, and them to learn more. And it's a different species, Sky, and they're not seeing it that way. They're just not seeing it. So they're not looking for the help you want to give. They don't want the help they need. And they keep going to sources that get them deeper and deeper into the quicksand. And so it's like lifeguards, like the first rule of lifeguard is a drowning person will drown you trying to cling to you because you're floating. You understand that?
Yeah, drag you down too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happens is you start going, look, that's why I came behind the paywall, because I want to talk about dogs. I want to talk about the human interaction with dogs from the dog's eye point of view and dogsmanship and all these things. I love it. I would do it every day with a good group of people. But the lessons that you get about life come through dogsmanship. These people don't want lessons about life. It's all virtual now. They don't need they need actual help, but they just don't want it. The other thing I'm going to ask you about studies, who funded the study?
Right.
And can I ask you something else?
What?
Who did the study on how corrections increase performance and clarity, trust, and respect? Nobody. Because who's going to fund that? Science Diet? Like, no one's going to fund that study.
Yeah, it's
so
not
you
popular.
Get these one-sided industry studies, and I can show you vet techs, vets, human doctors, and they'll look at those studies and say, this doesn't even follow the scientific method.
Right. Yeah, it's not a proper study. It has an agenda, and it was written
It's
with that agenda in mind.
weak trainers, weak owners, weak breeders, weak people, as far as dog, mentally weak people, will go back to studies to end a conversation because you cannot show them the difference. People think, look, I've done studies. I'll show you over 5,000 eval forms, and every problem with a dog that's aggressive is the same. They're checking
Yeah.
all the boxes. Dog has no obedience. Dog gets what it wants. Dog does this. That's a study.
Right. And
But
real world examples. Yeah, yeah, it's true.
there's Oscar Wilde. It says, saying, when the gods wish to punish us, they answer our prayers, is a sarcastic or ironic comment when attributed to Oscar Wilde, suggesting that when when someone is seeking something that ultimately harms them, their prayers are answered for it, leading to their downfall. Meaning, when you want to enrich your dog emotionally and you're like, oh, that's going to lead to your downfall because
Right.
you're when the gods wish to punish us, they give us everything we want.
Yep.
And that's millennials. That's all this, the problems we're having with people and brats and Karens and all that shit that you run into in society today is because the internet has told people they should enrich their lives and it only matters about them. When you teach a dog that life only matters about their enrichment, you're teaching a bad dog.
Yeah, this sounds horrible, and I have to be careful what I say
Excellent.
this too. But of course, you're going to think differently when you haven't gone through, real life and things that are difficult. But I think about like with me being a young working professional, I've only been working full time for about 3 years, and I've learned so much through like all the hard stuff, right? Like when I don't want to do things or when there's a horrible emergency and it just sucks. But that's like that's what builds your character. And that's what helps
Absolutely.
you understand, like, yeah, you got to get through these things and you can't always just have what you want. But maybe it's that they don't get to live life that way and understand that rule that kind of governs everything. I don't know.
Right. Well, but think about this. If you have, and I don't know who these people are, so I'm just making
Yeah,
shit up right now. But
of course.
if you're 21 and you're living in your parents' basement and they got you a guide dog and you're just playing video games all day, and then you're going to go to other people and connect with them, what does your dog matter? The more you have to rely on the dog, the more performance matters.
Right.
And so if I took a search and rescue dog and I needed to find a 4-year-old autistic kid that went in the swamps of Georgia. There's alligators and all this fucking shit. We got to find that kid. And I've done enrichment, and the dog is working towards like a piece of sandwich that someone left in the woods because of the enrichment. That
Mm,
kid's going to die because of my emotional enrichment. See, what they
right.
don't understand is the dog finds the kid and then you reward it. There
Yeah.
has to be something in between performance and reward. There has to be. But if you're rewarding and then expecting performance, why why buy the milk when I get the cow for free? Why buy the
Right.
cow when I get the milk for free? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, if you're looking, the internet has just ruined the way people think about dogs, and shelters, vets, veterinary behaviorists, daycare people, dog park people, they're all right now. They're right. They're not right, but they have popularity on their side. If these people had to rely on their dog to survive in one form or another, they wouldn't be doing any of the dog parks, safari. They wouldn't be doing any of that shit. That's all created because people don't have time for dogs anymore. So they go, oh, you got to take them because they feel guilt. That's
Yeah.
what daycare started. Daycare was guilt free. I don't have time to. Oh, you got to run them 6-7 hours a day. You gotta. Not when they're not fucking trained. The day I would bring any of my dogs to a dog park, a daycare, or a play date, you're teaching them that the value is in roughhousing with their own kind. So now take that dog out, take the police dog or the working dog or the assistance dog who spends 3 or 4 days a week at daycare, goes to the dog park and has play dates, and now ask for performance. I dare you to ask for performance.
Right. Probably not going to happen.
No, if you're counting on look, I've seen it with police dogs so many times where people want to throw the ball for the dog because it builds their drive. They think to get narcotics if you do it the right way, right? Or because they're finding the ball, not the drugs, right?
Right.
So that ball, you misused it. So now you're chasing a perp through a park, and somebody playing tennis hits a tennis ball over the fence. The dog's going to stop. Chances are, dog's going to stop going after that perp and go, "I got it. Mission accomplished." Why would it work? It has to learn to delineate the job from the reward. Do the job. Do the job. Now you have to teach the job and you have to reward the job at the right time. That's enough fucking enrichment. Being a guide dog is enough enrichment, fulfillment for their mental well-being. It's your dog Cindy is one of the greatest pet dogs I've ever seen. Now, when you started the dog toy mountain and when you started, she was counter surfing, she was doing all this because you were trying to enrich her, which tells the dog she's fucking 10. And she was like, this is Disneyland.
Right.
Now she's going to expand on that. She's counter surfing. She's going in the trash. She's doing things she shouldn't do. Why? Because you tell her through enrichment that there are no rules.
Yeah.
Everything's a reward. Yes. Do what you want. And the dog was like, yeah. Is the dog happier? Sure. Are you happier? No. Is the people that you were talking to, are they happier? Is the dog happier? Yeah. When they get hit by a fucking bus or the dog takes off on them, they will complain.
Yep.
But they're the ones putting their hand on the fire. They're the ones doing it. And that's what's killing you. That's what the biggest problem is you go, guys, what are you doing? Well, they're like, well, I do the enrichment part. That's what's killing you. That. And the fact that people don't know how to lead. People don't even understand about nature anymore, Sky.
Right.
They watch it. They don't go out in it. They watch it. They scroll on their oh, look at this. This guy's finding fossils. Look at, I'm an expert on fossils. No, you're not. You've never touched a fucking fossil.
Right.
But you can go get the information and sound like you know what you're talking about. And that's what's making you crazy and you want to help. Living well is the best revenge. I told you, I hope that in some way what we're doing changes the guide dog world for the better, but the guide dog world is in shambles.
Yeah, it is.
There's just ashes. It's not, it has to be rebuilt. It must be rebuilt, but it doesn't have to be rebuilt. It only, you start and then someone will say, how did you do that? And you go, well, listen, I'm not going to waste my time with you. I'm not going to bullshit around with you. If you're going to go here's a list, like the first thing I give out is a list of do's and don'ts and house rules. That you got to stop all the shit that's killing you. You got to stop it. But they don't want to do that. And so they're going to go to all these people who are going to take their money and make them promises, and that's fine. And that makes you mad too, because they're getting paid for erroneous advice. So there's nothing good in trying to help people with dogs unless they have the gift of desperation or they want to start off right.
Yeah.
And then you can help them. But you're always going to run into a point where the person goes, I don't want to do that. And I'm not talking about corrections. I'm talking about stopping the shit that's teaching the dog the wrong stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because when I have Atlas, I want to just set up a channel. A few people have asked me if I will, and just post the clips I have as I work with him, in the next year. And I want to do that, but part of me is kind of afraid. I'm going to have to figure out how I do it because the industry is scary and people get scary. And it's not like I'm going to be doing anything bad with him, obviously, but just the fact that like I won't let him play with toys, or I don't let him have sniffy walks, it's going to make some people angry. You know what I mean?
It's not going to make some people angry. It's going to make a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
And it will make a few people curious. Why? Right. They know this drinking straw. If you deviate from that, you're being cruel. Like in the UK, someone asked me, what do you think about the dog's emotional well-being? And it's funny because it's in a video that I'm working on.
Oh, cool.
And I said, they were trying to kill each other. He's like, well, what about their emotional well-being? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, they don't look very happy. I said, okay, well, 10 minutes ago, they were trying to kill each other and they didn't look happy. Neither did the owners and neither did everybody in the tent. So what is the value of everyone's emotional well-being now versus I'm not going to correct them the right way? The reason that people have a hard time with corrections is because they don't know how to use corrections to enhance the dog's emotional well-being. They use it in a moment of emotional brutality or sadness or some kind of negative emotion, and it's unclear to the dog. What passes for dog training now and canine science is ridiculous. My algorithm's getting crushed again, and it's like,
I'm so proud of you.
Want to rent out? Yeah, thanks. Want to rent out your dog? You can rent out your backyard to be a dog park.
Oh, Sniff Spot. I heard about that.
You can do this. You can do that. You can do this. There's professional shit cleaners. There's people who are like this industry is built on an illusion. It's a lot like the child pageant things where they have the kids. Like there's a huge industry built around that. None of that is good for that kid. Not one bit of it.
Messed up.
But the parents, they get happy.
It's crazy when you don't see any physical damage to something, then people are okay with it, even if it's just destroying them mentally.
Yeah. So my advice to you is focus on you and let people seek you out. If you go to them to help, you're going to set yourself up. If they so remember the guy in Walmart. Did I ask you for your fucking help?
Yeah.
Nope.
Even though this one asked, it's not.
So you say but did they ask you or did they ask the internet?
Right. Yeah. Just other guide dog handlers.
Yep.
But
don't answer it. That's that poison. That's that toxicity in the dog world on the internet now, which has been. Look, there's no doing seminars was where I really learned, don't go to people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go. They have to come to you because if you're going to them, they think they're paying you for a result, not a lesson, not an understanding. So when you tell them to stop doing what they're doing, they instantly go, you got to fight with them now because it's like, well, that's enriching and this is this. I go, look, I'm sorry that you believe all this stuff, but all the stuff you're doing brought you to see me. I'm telling you to stop that. I'm showing you can get, but they don't want to stop that. They want to take their dogs to the dog park. They want to do this. That's how junkies work. You can have a better life. Yeah, but that heroin, boy, that's not about the dog. It's not about the well-being of the dog. It's about the greed and selfishness of humanity. And that's what's happened when we stopped having jobs for dogs. So when you have someone who has a job for a dog, but they're teaching the dog to not do the job, if they were working for you, you'd fire them.
Yeah, true that.
Well, you can't. So don't. The thing is that getting frustrated because you want to help is a tough thing. It's a very tough thing because not only are you trying to help the person, but it's really to help the dog get out of the seventh circle of hell.
Yeah. Just make things clear for it. That would be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I don't know. So what's your next move with that?
I'm just gonna ignore it. Honestly, it's interesting.
Oh, you won't.
I know. I had one or two people, and they're like, "Yeah, that makes sense. She's right." And that was cool just to see that a very tiny 1% subset of the population was like, "Yeah, I agree with that." That was nice. But yeah, you know what? She's like, it just is what it is. It's unfortunate, but I'm just gonna do my own thing with Atlas, and we'll be fine.
It's hard. It's hard because you know why, Sky? Because it's terribly sad and unnecessary. That's why it's so sad.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.